I really gotta start taking care of myself, Emma. I don't want to end up like her.
You're not like her. You're strong. Like your grandma.
All I remember is all the fighting. You know, I don't think my mom knew how much my grandma loved her. My grandma always said that she believes that they survived that night for a reason, but my mom just hated growing up living in the shadow of it all. She once told me that she believed that their relationship became more about that night than about her.
If I look a little choppy today, it might be the software. The software is telling me one moment I'm connected and the next minute I'm not connected. So let's hope this thing is okay. What a great way to come back. Now it says whoa. Whoa. There we go. I was a little hot on the microphone there. Now it says the stream is stable. Strange. Hey, look what I'm wearing. Big shout out to the guys of Death. Yes, huh? Yes. Take a look at that, folks. Death Curse Society. I'm modeling this for them. Death Curse Society sent me this shirt. Shout out to the fine folks over there at the Death Curse Society. If you haven't checked them out, if you're not subscribed to them, I highly recommend that you do. They got some great stuff over there. Very intelligent film horror guys. So make sure you check them out. Big shout out, of course, to them for sending this shirt over. I love it. It's great. You sent over a large, which is great. I always buy large t-shirts. I'm actually a medium in t-shirts, but I always buy a large because my intentions are never to put my t-shirts in the dryer and then they always end up in the dryer and then they shrink and the medium becomes a small and then it looks like I'm wearing spandex and it's like, yeah, I can't wear this anymore. So I always buy large t-shirts so that if they do end up in the dryer by accident, then they shrink a little bit and it's not a big deal. It still fits. So they did send over a large, which is great. So if this thing, it's a little big, but I knew it was going to be. But I'd rather be a little big than a little too small. And so this will end up, if it does end up in the dryer, it's not a big deal then. Thank you guys again to Death Curse Society for sending this over. Really cool t-shirt. I love it. It's great. Hey folks, what's going on? Looks like the stream is stable now. We were getting off to a wonky start there. My name's Dave McRae. The date today is Tuesday, June the 8th, 2021, 11:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Welcome to episode 177 of McRae Live. I took a bit of a break. Last week, of course, I was on social media posting things and stuff like that. But in terms of here on this channel, I did take a bit of a break. And I also, I did do a few interviews last week, of course, but I just wanted to take a bit of a break. I slept a little bit, not as much as I wanted to. Yeah, we're back trying to get into the swing of things. And I wanted to do a debrief show here with myself and you guys. One-on-one, me and you and me, how it usually is in 99% 99.9% of the time. Why not do that and kind of just before we, begin to move on to other things over the course of the summer. And so, yeah, whatever questions you have today in regards to It's Me, Billy, the production, the past, the present, the future, I will do my best to answer it, what I can answer at the very least. And then, of course, any other questions you have as well, we'll definitely get into that. Yeah, let me just make sure I'm not missing any text messages. There was quite a bit that came in today. I don't believe I am. No, I'm not. Okay, good. I thought I was. So big shout out to our cast and crew, of course, of It's Me, Billy. Congratulations. People have been saying congratulations to us, which is great. But congratulations to them too. I mean, shout out to everybody on the team. This is just as much your film as it is ours. We hope that you're just as proud of it as we are. And because we think you guys did a tremendous job. We think the end result speaks for itself. There's a reason why the vast majority of people have enjoyed it and really appreciated what we've been able to dish out and the way it looks, the way it feels, the way it sounds, the way it's pieced together. We worked very hard, all of us did, to create what you see on the screen. So shout out to everybody again for such a tremendous job. We couldn't have done it without you. Filmmaking is a collaborative team effort. It really is at the end of the day. Being on that set in that position was amazing, and it was an awesome experience that I'll cherish and I'll never forget, and that I hope to replicate again and again and again. We shall see. But nonetheless, yeah, big shout out to them, of course. This success is just as much yours. And so let's jump right into it. I'll let the questions for It's Me, Billy kind of fuel the discussion, and then we will get on to other things as well. Calm down, just calm down, okay? What about Halloween? Calm down, Halloween. Fuck. I love you guys. All right, so let me. My glasses are around. Hey, you want to see something cool before we do that? Here is there were two phones that we had done up, of course, for It's Me, Billy. This is the one that you see in the movie, the one that is in the attic. This is the one that is sitting beside Billy as he's rocking back and forth. And this is also the one that Sam picks up the phone and says, what the fuck do you want? Who are you? And of course, it's me, Billy. This is the phone. And this is an actual late 60s, early 70s. I believe it's a late 60s olive green rotary phone. As you can see, it is the exact same kind, the exact same color that was in the original Black Christmas. Obviously, that detail was very apparent. And I did upload two videos on my channel. This past week talking about things you missed, things explained. So you might want to check out those two videos, both of them actually, for some little tidbits of information in there on things explained and things you may have missed. But don't worry, I don't do one of those, big, I can't stand those things you missed, things explained, where they have like a thumbnail, like a big red arrow pointing to absolutely nothing. Don't worry, it's not that kind of a video. But I do talk about the importance of this phone and the importance of this phone number right there. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not. It's a little blown out. The importance of this phone number. So make sure you check that out as well. But yeah, this is same color, same type. We had two of these actually done up for the movie, identical. But that's the one there that was used in the film. And then, of course, some people have been asking about this as well. People have been asking about Jess Bradford's book. Jess Bradford's book, The Belmont Murders. There it is, folks. There it is. You can pick it up now at your local bookstore. No, you can't really, but you can order it off Amazon maybe. No, you can't. No, we had, this is a real book. Obviously it's a prop book. There's nothing in it. There's no words in the book. It's just a shell, but we had about 4 of these done up, I believe. It says Jess Bradford at the top here, and then it says the New York Times bestseller right underneath there, The Belmont Murders. And at the bottom here, it says a true story of survival. And that, of course, is the original Black Christmas House from the original movie. This is the book. This is the book that made her famous. This is the book that made her rich, ladies and germs. This is the book that you know, just it was very therapeutic for her at first, but then things got crazy with all the anniversaries and the talk shows and the interviews and the crazy prank calls, not Billy, but, you know, fans just harassing her and all that kind of stuff. It drove her north. It drove her north to seclude herself in the mansion that you see in It's Me, Billy. So pretty cool stuff. This is actually really cool. Not inexpensive, if I do say so myself. But we had, and attention to detail, folks, attention to detail. Even the spine, the Belmont murders. We were very detailed. Go watch the video, Things You Missed, Things Explained. It may help you appreciate the movie that much more. Actually, that's the whole point of those kinds of videos, is to help people appreciate the movie that much more. So let's jump right into it here and see what you guys are saying. Let me put on my specs. There we are. I can actually see you guys. All right, what do we got? Everyone is just, let me just scroll back. People are just rolling on in, saying hello. Chris Snyder says, thanks again for coming on our channel, Dave. Lots of fun. No problem, Chris. Thank you, and Destiny and Chad for having me on. I really appreciate it. I think what you guys are doing over there is great. You know, your channel is growing. It's continued to grow, and you're consistent with the content. That's the most important thing, of course, is to be consistent. You know, you don't always have to, you know, you're allowed to take a break too, you know, every now and then. But you're consistent with your content, and you're building your own brand and your own identity, which I think is great. So yeah, no, thank you very much for having me on. Let's see here. Ryan S. Hello, Ryan S. Says, hey, Dave, loved Billy. Thank you very much. Says, looked like a studio film. We agree. Yeah, we worked very hard to make it look that way, for sure. Are you surprised more outlets didn't pick it up? I looked for it on Movie Web, I think that's supposed to say. Movie Web, iHorror, and BG. Blade Disgusting, maybe? Blade Disgusting? That's the only thing I can think of. And nothing. It's worthy of covering, in my estimation. Yeah, like, I mean, first of all, I think it's important to note that, I mean, obviously, you know, outlets can cover whatever the hell they want, and their first priority obviously is, you know, films that are actually being released. You know, it's kind of a catch-22 because, you know, It's Me, Billy is a fan film, yes, in subgenre, but it's you know, I've heard a lot of people say, and we appreciate this compliment, that it doesn't feel like a fan film, it doesn't look like a fan film. It's not even really a fan film. It's not even really fair to call it that. That's not my words. Actually, people have actually said that, and we appreciate that. And unfortunately, because we don't own the IP and we don't own the intellectual property, it has to be lumped into the fan film category because we do not have the rights to it. We can't make money off it. We can't sell it. We can't commercialize it, and understandably so. But as I've said many times on this channel, you've heard me say this ad nauseum, it doesn't matter if this was It's Me, Billy, or, you know, some original piece called Bob's Diner. We would have approached it the same way. It was shot professionally with a professional crew on professional cameras. I hit my fucking head there. You know, so it's just fan film in name only, really, at the end of the day. There's nothing fan, you know, in the stereotypical, you know, what we perceive a fan film to be. It's not there. And so, you know, it is a quote unquote real movie in that sense, but it's not a Hollywood picture that winds up in theaters or that you can pay for, you know, that really is going to get a general interest. And these websites' first priorities are to cover those movies, you know, the studio films, the real movies, if you will. That is their first priority. So, you know, and it's possible that so that's number one, that they could have been inundated with all sorts of stuff. Number two is that maybe they watched it and didn't like it, and they just figured not to cover it. I mean, that's entirely possible as well, right? Not everybody liked it. I mean, the vast majority of people did. There's some criticism towards the film that even myself can be like, oh yeah, you know, I can kind of see what you're saying there. You know, yeah, maybe that's a good point. But the vast majority of the criticism that I've seen anyway tends to stem from people not realizing that it was designed to be episodic. So, in terms of its twist, in terms of its ending, in terms of why, you're just ending it there, that, that doesn't make any sense. What about this? What about that? What about the grandmother? And didn't they have a funeral? And that's dumb. And that doesn't make sense. And these are likely people that don't understand that it was designed to have more. But when you are delivering a film with the production value that we did, we don't have studio backing, so we have to do it in stages. It's exactly like what Vince has done with Never Hike Alone and Never Hike in the Snow. We can deliver studio quality, but because we don't have the backing of a Paramount or a Netflix or a Blumhouse or whoever, we have to do it in stages, and so, but we couldn't tell you that it was going to be episodic because that would give it away that the ending of the movie is going to end on some sort of unfinished note, right? So that's why we had to wait until the film was out there. So I think most people, once they understand it's episodic, they still have questions. They're still not sure how we're going to, make things make sense. But I can assure you, we are not approaching this in the same ways that Lucasfilm approached the Star Wars sequel trilogy. We do have a plan. We do know where we're going. But of course, we had to end it here because, we have to, in order to continue to deliver this level of quality, we have to do it in chunks. Unless somebody wants to, have a conversation with us, and away we go. But yeah, so but back to what you're saying. I mean, nobody is under any obligation to cover it. I do think, but then again, I am also the co-writer, co-director, and co-producer of the movie, so take this with a grain of salt. I do think it's worthy of covering. And some people have. Like, I even think Dread Central covered it. Bloody Flicks covered it. Shout out to them as well. Thanks so much. I don't know who else has, to be honest with you, because I haven't really been looking, because I've been so caught up with other things. But nobody is obligated to. And it's their, they can cover whatever they want. Do I think it's worthy of covering? I do, because of the quality and because of the sort of the level that we did it on. Yeah, I do. I do think it's worth it. But nobody's under any obligation to cover it. It's entirely up to them. And there's a number of factors of why maybe some people have and some people haven't, right? Some people may not have liked it. Some people may, maybe they don't like me, right? I mean, that's entirely possible. And we cannot, I know it sounds a little kind of spiteful, and it would be, absolutely. If somebody wouldn't cover something as polished and as well put together as it's me, Billy, just because they don't like me, well, that is out of spite, for sure, 100%. But they're more than entitled to do that, right? If they don't like me, they don't like my channel, they think I'm an arrogant prick or something like that, they're like, fuck that, I'm not covering a stupid Billy movie. That's entirely, I'm not saying that that's what has happened. I'm just saying that there's a number of reasons why, many different outlets may not have. I haven't really dove into it. I haven't really looked to see who has and who hasn't. Usually people will tag me in things on what outlets are covering. And last week, I just haven't been paying attention to that. I've just been so busy sleeping, catching up on sleep, sharing the movie around, talking about it, doing interviews, that I haven't really looked. So you would know better than me. But no, everybody's entitled to cover whatever they want to cover, It's always our hope that it gets covered because we worked very hard to deliver this level of quality. But it's entirely up to people, man. There's a variety of reasons why they may not have, right? They're just not interested. They don't think it's a good movie. They don't like me. They're too backlogged with other things. Number of reasons, right? But hopefully it'll, it's only been out for just over a week. So hopefully, over the course of the summer, and then as Halloween picks up again and Christmas, of course, maybe other people will pick it up. Who knows? It's our hope, though. It's our hope. Let's see here. Super chat comes in from Anna M. Pops. Thank you, Anna, and says, Dave, I haven't had the time to congratulate you, but congratulations on It's Me, Billy, to you and the team. I loved it. Thank you very much, Anna. Really appreciate it. I believe your name was in the credits, if I'm not mistaken. I believe you were a contributor. I think I remember seeing your name, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, thank you, Anna. Really appreciate that very much. Red Foreman sends in $5. His message is retracted, but just sends in $5. Thank you very much, buddy. Appreciate that. Chris Baber sends in $4.99, says sequel perk will be signed thong, screen used by Frank Riker. Yes, you are absolutely correct. A sequel perk will be a signed thong, hot tub thong from Frank Riker. you imagine? Oh my God. Somehow I think we might be able to pull that off. Let's see here. Unimpressive Media. I haven't seen you here before, but welcome. Sends in €5, I believe that is. Congrats to everyone involved with the film. Although I wasn't a fan of the ending twist, it didn't take away from my overall enjoyment. Yeah, well, thank you very much for saying that. Yeah, no, there's definitely, what's really important about this film and about the, and Bruce and I have talked about it on a stream we did over a week ago. It's on my channel. It's just a few videos back. You can check that out. We get into the nitty-gritty details there. But it was important to us that when you are doing a sequel, when you're doing a film at this level, and again, it's a no budget, low budget movie in the eyes of Hollywood, but it's still a $60,000 movie. So I mean, it's not, it's not backyard, with your friends on your iPhone. I mean, this is a legit, low budget short film, shot professionally with a professional crew. And I keep saying that because it's important people understand our mindset and where we were coming from and how seriously we took it. So we knew that when we were making this movie, we had to progress the narrative forward, but still keeping the identity and the DNA of Black Christmas there. Because if we didn't, we weren't making our own version of the original movie. We were making the direct sequel 50 years later. And nothing was arbitrary. No decision was arbitrary. We didn't leave it on a cliffhanger because we thought it was cool. We didn't make Carol Coltman Agnes because of the 2006 movie. We didn't do this because of that or this because of this or nothing. We spent, guys, this, we spent 2 years working on this movie. 2 years, a year and a half before we even went to camera. We were in pre-production before Blumhouse even announced their Black Christmas movie. So nothing was arbitrary. 15 drafts of the script. 15 drafts of the script. So we paid very close attention to that kind of stuff. And, but we knew in doing a sequel, you have to preserve the integrity of the DNA. You got to make it feel Black Christmas, right? And thankfully, most people that have watched it have agreed that it definitely feels more like Black Christmas than the other two films at the very least, which is a nice, thing to say. We appreciate that. We worked hard on that. But we also have to move things forward, right? We gotta progress the narrative forward, but it's about that balance. Do you know what I mean? But we do have more to tell, and don't think you know it all. Don't think, oh, I know where this is going. No, don't think you do, because you probably don't. But yes, the twist in the movie had nothing to do with the 2006 movie. Bruce hasn't even seen that movie, and I've only seen it twice. And it had nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that at all. It's not a nod to the '06 movie. Like I've said many times, when you are nodding to something, you nod to things you like. You nod to things you enjoy, you love, you appreciate. You don't nod to things or tip your hat to things you despise. You know what I'm saying? One of the last shots of the movie with who in the back seat of the car and the camera is zooming in on that that's a nod to the original movie, right? That's a nod. You know what I'm saying? Agnes is not. I have a funny feeling, and I stand to be corrected, but because the original Black Christmas is an older film, because it's a niche film, because it's a cult film, it's not nearly as popular as even something like Hellraiser or something like that. It's very influential. It's very important. We have that movie to thank for a lot of the things we see in a lot of the modern films we love. But certainly it's still a film a lot of people haven't seen. And although I don't know this for sure, but I tend to think that there are more people that have seen the '06 movie than have seen the 1974 film. Or there are more people that like the '06 movie than they do like the '74 film. Maybe those, I don't know for sure, okay? Obviously, your hardcore, original fans like myself or Cody Leach or whatever, obviously we really like, the original. But I think the association people have with Agnes is from that '06 movie. But in reality, the character of Agnes was established in the 1974 film. And them even being brother and sister, that wasn't an '06 invention. That was actually a '74 thing. So, but I just think people associate, the visual representation, obviously, with the '06 film, and it's understandable. But no, I mean, it was a twist not everybody liked and not everybody enjoyed, but hopefully people appreciate what we're doing. You need to take, it's not that you take bold steps. It's not that you make bold decisions. It's why are you making these decisions? Where are you going with these decisions? And and are you preserving the integrity of the DNA of Black Christmas there? And we believe we did that. And if we had studio backing, you would have already been on to the next episode. We would have just shot a feature-length film. You know what I mean? We would have just shot, 90 minutes or, whatever the case is. Not obviously it would have been more than that, but a 90-minute movie. But we have to do it in stages. So yeah. That's the reason. But hopefully people can appreciate the decisions we've made and where we're going. And I believe, and you know me, I'm somebody that loves, ambiguity and mystique and all that. And I do believe, although we showed Billy from different perspectives, we never really showed Billy, right? And like I said before, the character of Billy has to evolve as well. I don't mean evolve to the point where you're seeing him sitting at a Popeye's chicken in broad daylight, scarfing down a milkshake. That's not what I'm talking about. But his character has to progress, or you're just doing the same thing over again. If you want to, and I've said this about the original Halloween, with Michael Myers, it's not about you can't show him identically to the ways that he was shown in the original forever. You have to progress his character. It's how you progress it, and are you preserving the integrity of the original, right? It's the same thing with this. If you just want Billy to be a complete enigma, well, then you just don't make a sequel, right? You just don't. You just don't at all. You don't continue anything. But by default, if you are advancing a story, things have to progress. They have to advance. It's not that they advance, it's how they advance. What do you do to advance them? What do you not do to preserve the integrity of any sort of mystique or whatever the case is? But you do have to progress things forward. That's how stories are told. And if you don't, then you just kind of wind up with Friday the 13th, where you're just doing the same thing over and over again in every movie. Maybe people like that. But anyway, so yeah. I'm glad you liked it, but we knew when we dropped that ending, we knew some people were going to love it. Some people were not. People were going to be confused. What's going on? You can't just end a movie there. Don't worry. It's not the ending. We hope it's not the ending at the very least. Let me see. Okay. I keep hitting my hat on the thing there. Anthony Bazzuto sends in $9.99. Thank you very much, Anthony, and says, Dave, first things first. Congratulations. Film is fantastic. Second, was the actor that played Billy similar in age to the version we saw in the film? Yes. Brian Charles Peter. Big shout out to Brian Charles Peter, of course, who played Billy in the and I saw somebody say what was it? Was this a comment or was this a direct message? I can't remember. Somebody said, who played Billy? What the hell is his name in the '06 movie? Lenz or something like that. And somebody sent me a message and said, who played Billy Lenz, I think his name was. And I was like, whoa. I was like, that's an '06 version. You see, again, helping to sort of make me realize that I think more people don't Billy, I mean, it wasn't even, he didn't even have a last name. It wasn't even for sure that his name was Billy. That was just the name he kept saying, right? And of course, Bob Clark later alluded to the fact that, yes, likely this guy's name is Billy. But no, any sort of last name, that's an '06 thing. That's an '06 thing. In our movie, it's not Billy Lenz or whatever the hell his name is. Anyway, the actor who played Billy in our film is Brian Charles Peter. And yes, Brian Charles Peter, I believe, is, I think he's late 60s, 68, 69, something like that. His hair, that is his real hair, by the way. That's not a wig. That's his real hair. Some people have asked if I played the physical embodiment of Billy. No, I did not. I was just Billy on the telephone. So when you hear Billy freaking out in the attic and doing his temper tantrum, because we've seen him do that before. In the original film, we saw him freak out in the attic, but from his perspective, from his POV. In this movie, we're seeing it a little more objectively, like we've just walked in on him and we're like, oh, oh shit, we're not supposed to be here. Like that Homer Simpson meme where he's like, backing up into the bushes, like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. So at the end of that, when Billy is singing, little baby bunting, daddy's gone a hunting, and the camera is, dollying out, right? Kind of just moving backwards. We always imagined as directors, that's like us kind of going tiptoeing backwards, like, let's get the fuck out of here, right? But that was all him. That was all him. Him singing that nursery rhyme was him as well. And there is one moment on the telephone. There's two moments on the telephone, actually, that are him, that are not me. And I always give credit where credit is due. 99.999% of the stuff you hear on the phone is me. But there are two things that are actually not him. Two things, actually. I thought it was just one, but having watched the phone calls again just the other day, I realized that, no, there's two things. The first is when you hear like this maniacal laugh, almost like whatever it was. That's him. That's Brian. Shout out to Brian. He fucking does that so well. And then at the very end, just before Justine grabs the phone from Sam and says, okay, who the fuck is this? You hear, I'm going to kill you, right? That's Brian. That's not me. That is Brian saying that. So shout out to Brian, who did an amazing job. And but the vast majority of the calls were me. Yeah, I mean, I would say everything else. So, but yeah, no, he's late 60s, I'd say. I think he is. Brian, if you're watching, late 60s. He doesn't look a day over 25. He's such a sweetheart of a man. I love this guy. He is the opposite of what he was portraying. The opposite of what he was portraying. As a lot of these guys are, when you meet, it's funny how sweethearts are cast sometimes in these roles. And I actually think too, I think what happens, especially when you're dealing with women, especially, or children for sure, I think they're, and the man is older, like kind of how like Don Shanks was with Danielle Harris, or George P. Wilbur was with Danielle Harris. I think when you are a lot older and you are old enough to be their father or their grandfather, or whatever the case is, you do, and you genuinely like the people obviously that you're working with, you feel a sense of responsibility, especially when you, and I don't want to speak for them or for Brian, but for myself, I know that that's how I would feel when we're doing a scene that is violent or that is suggestively violent, and there's blood or there's a knife, or you're killing this person. I think some people who are playing those evil roles, take it very seriously. There's a certain level of responsibility here that the actor that they are working with feels very comfortable, especially when it is a male dominating a woman or a male dominating a child. There needs to be a level of comfortability, if I could say that, and people feel comfortable constantly checking in. I know I was always checking in, and Bruce was doing that as well, especially with Justine's death scene. We were, always checking in. Are you okay? How you feeling? Because it's important, that everybody feels comfortable and there isn't anything that is going on that makes any of the actors or the crew feel uncomfortable. So we were very diligent with that. We took those things very seriously because, I am of the mindset, and I know that Bruce is too, that once one person feels uncomfortable, that's it, man. It throws everything off. And the last thing we want is for somebody to feel genuinely uncomfortable and we don't know about it. As the leaders of the set, we don't know about it. You know what I mean? That's unacceptable to us. So we're very hyper aware of that kind of thing, depending on the scene that we're shooting, of course, especially when it comes to death scenes. So Brian was that same way. He was very attentive, very, very warm and very caring during especially that scene, of course. So he's just an awesome dude. Awesome, dude. Jacob26 Film Guy sends in $10. Thank you, Jacob. It says, hey, Dave, congrats. Love the fan film. What are you looking forward to seeing from Halloween Kills? I don't know. I have no idea. I just looking forward to seeing how it all unfolds, I guess. It's going to be gorier. I can tell you that. It's going to be a lot gorier. So if you don't want gore, then you're probably not going to like this, but it is going to be gorier. That's for sure. I don't know. Just to kind of see how the story continues and see if they correct some of the Halloween, what I would perceive as Halloween mistakes from the 18 movie, if they correct them in this film. But I'm under no illusions that this all of a sudden is going to be like a complete 180 and, you know, it's like a total like, you know, no, it's going to be a modern day slasher with blood, guts, and gore. That's where we are. But if you can combine that with Halloween DNA, which the 18 movie was largely void of, as it relates to the character of Myers and all that kind of stuff, then you know, you might have me on board. You might have me on board. Super chat from Chud's Corner. Chud's Corner sends in $4.99. Said, since you're a voice actor and I'm playing Jason Voorhees and my special boy. Oh, this is Chad. Chad, is this you? I think this is you. I'm playing Jason Voorhees and my special boy, Friday the 13th Phantom. Let's hear your best Crazy Ralph impression. Crazy Ralph. Okay, let me see here. Well, again, here's what's important. One of the biggest misconceptions of, and again, this is just can be a matter of semantics. I'm not going to give you a Ralph impression, although you can perceive it that way. And I'm being a little technical because of what I do. But an impression of somebody is more than just somebody's catchphrase, right? Or one line, right? It's one of the biggest errors that voice actors make. Newbies think that they can do, like, in order for something to be an impression, if I wanted to do a Bugs Bunny impression or a Daffy Duck impression, I would have to talk like him for 30 minutes without breaking character. That's an impression. Doing one line or doing Homer Simpson's dough or, you know, Ronald Reagan's well, or, you know, whatever the case is, isn't an impression of that somebody, right? You know, you're just doing their catchphrase. Anyways, I'm being a little technical. I understand that. I know what you mean. Totally know what you mean, dude. Totally know what you mean. So I'm just trying to think. Ralph didn't talk a lot in that movie, but he did talk. He did have more than one line. So I'd have to go back and watch him to see if I can do a full-on impression of him. But certainly, like, his classic line, right, would be, you're all doomed. You're all doomed. I mean, that really is kind of where he is. He's up here. His voice shakes a little bit. He's up here like this. You're all doomed. What does he also say? He says, it's got a death curse. Something like that. But again, I wouldn't consider that like an impression of Ralph. I would have to go back and watch his lines, and then I would have to get his cadence and his tone down and then start just talking like him about random shit, like going through the drive-thru and ordering a hamburger. You know what I mean? But I totally get, I know I'm being really technical. That's really, really, you know, but that's my Ralph right there. That's my Ralph. Off the top of my head, anyway, I think that's what he sounds like. Anna M. Pops follows up with Michael Myers, the mute, Jason, the mute, Freddy and Chucky, the comedians, Pinhead, the fanatic, and we have Billy in the dirty talker psycho. Yeah, that's something too that people have actually asked. They said, why didn't you go, you know, full on, you know, sexual and saying a lot of the things that was said in the original film? Well, there's two things. Number one is that I don't think it's necessary to do that. I also don't think it's as shocking. I mean, in 1974 to say the C word and, you know, let me lick your, you know, and all this. It would be shocking today to a degree, but it's not as shocking anymore. You know, when you have at your fingertips the ability to hit a button and go watch somebody actually doing that, you know, on some site. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not, the shock of it has worn off really at the end of the day. And I think I think we can also tackle Billy's insanity without being that vulgar. You know what I mean? You know, times have changed, things have changed. And I don't think we need to be that vulgar to get the point across that Billy is still this deranged psycho. I mean, you know, it doesn't take a genius to understand that there he is in the attic and it's me, Billy, caressing a doll. You know, and if you kind of listen to what he's saying under his breath, there's some creepy stuff there, folks. Okay. Yeah, we went there, but that's not our invention, right? That is, again, going back to the original film, right? You know what I mean? It is highly suggested that Billy abused Agnes, whether that was physically, sexually, when she was a baby or however old. I mean, this is not our invention. We are just taking that character continuity and bringing it into It's Me, Billy. So, you know, I don't think we needed to go full on crazy, you know, sexual, dirty, wildly inappropriate on the phone when we also have a scene in the movie that is wildly suggestively inappropriate. So we decided to keep it more not incoherent. Well, I mean, there is incoherency there, but more just angry and sporadic. But again, if you listen carefully to the phone calls in It's Me, Billy, there are clues in there. There are things that are being said that are clues. And Billy is, I mean, it's 50 years later. You know, if he was in a degenerative mental cognitive decay 50 years ago, where would he be now? Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's one of the reasons too. People thought, well, why did he have long hair? I don't get it. Well, because you have to, you know, we didn't have him have long hair. Like, we didn't choose him. Hey, let's have him have long hair because it's cool. It has nothing to do with that, folks. When you're approaching a film in the ways that we were, everything has to have meaning. Everything has to make sense. There has to be reasons for it, right? So no, it's not a nod to, some people have said, oh, I guess that's a nod to somebody said in The Devil's Rejects or something. If you want to make that correlation, that's fine, but that's not why we did it. Our mindset as writers and directors were, hey, this is 50 years later. Billy's not likely to be sitting there with a pair of brand new Nikes and a haircut and, you know, a soul patch. I mean, this is not, you know, it's 50 years later. If he was gone 50 years ago, where would he be now? He's a non-functioning member of society. He can't work. He can't, listen, there are functioning psychotics, right? There are your next door neighbors that go to work that you suddenly find out that they murdered their whole family. There are nurses and doctors that work in hospitals that kill patients. There are cops that kill people they pull over. I mean, there are functioning there are functioning psychotics in the world, right? And then there are people that just can't function at all. They just can't. And that would be somebody like Billy. He's not likely to go down the street and get a haircut. So his look, his unkept look is very much reminiscent and symbolic of where we believe his character would be now. But anyway, yeah, no, it was fun to craft that and to shape that character for a new installment while keeping the integrity of the character there. I think we did that. I think we walked a balance. At least I hope we did. I mean, I know we did. It's our hope that others feel the same way as well, but not everybody's going to agree with you. Trevor Bristow could be a couple of ways. Hey, Dave, buddy. I just want to say that you did a fantastic job on It's Me, Billy. Thank you so much. The movie is a great sequel of the original Black Christmas. I saw it twice now, loved it. Yeah, there have been some people that have said they've seen it like 4 or 5 times, and that's really, really cool. You know, I mean, it is our hope, obviously, that we want to follow up. We definitely want to follow up. And now that the cat's out of the bag, obviously, as you can clearly see, it was designed to be episodic. We do have it's not that we have like multiple ideas where we can continue this thing for 10 more episodes, but we definitely have, it's our hope that we get an opportunity to bookend the movie. It's our hope that we get an opportunity to bookend the movie. And that might be like another 45-minute film or something like that. So, but we're very happy with how it is. We have more we want to tell, and it's our hope that we get to do it, and now It's Me, Billy. We will let breathe over the course of the next, however many months and see, it's already got over 20,000 views in over 10 days or something like that. And, listen, when it comes to Halloween, when it comes to Friday the 13th, when it comes to, A Nightmare on Elm Street or something, especially Halloween and Friday, if we had done the same thing with Freddy, Jason, or Michael, yeah, this thing would probably be over 200,000 views by now. But for a Black Christmas fan film, Black Christmas, a property most people don't give a shit about, we think that's pretty good. 20,000 views. Now, obviously it has slowed down and it will continue to slow unless it gets a resurgence from somewhere. But that's pretty good. You know, we're very happy with it. And of course, there's an opportunity for people to discover it. There's an opportunity for it to pick up again at Halloween time, at Christmas time, you know, where lots of people will be doing their Black Christmas reviews and, you know, revisits and videos. And then, of course, people will probably discover It's Me, Billy. And, you know, I mean, it's our hope that, before this thing trails off completely, that we can get over 30,000, you know, at the very least. I mean, that would be nice. You know, I mean, obviously, if this thing could get 300,000, that would be amazing. But in order for this to get 300,000, it would have to get a push from somewhere. Or at the same time, maybe not, right? Because again, it's Black Christmas. Not a lot of people care about it. You know, we didn't, you know, it would have been easy for us to do a Halloween fan film of this caliber. It would have been easy, but we wanted to do something different because everybody's fucking doing Halloween. No offense. I'm just saying it's a fact. Everybody is. And we wanted to do something different that was a little closer to home, right? Black Christmas, Canadian movie, shot in Toronto. We're Canadian, from Toronto. It makes sense, right? So, but yeah, hopefully we'll be able to do the next installment and bookend the story. We shall see. We shall see. Yeah, Chris says another 45-minute movie, combining the two, making it around 90 minutes, making it feature length and put it together. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's true. That is true. That hasn't been lost on us either. So we shall see. Our fingers are crossed. David's Horror says, if Agnes was abused by Billy as a child, what was your thought process and why Agnes' willingness to aid Billy? Well, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you any details of whether she is or she isn't or what's going on there. Because obviously that would lead into, the spoilers for the next installment. And listen, I do understand why people are confused and why it may rub some people the wrong way to leave it there. But again, you know, if we were just shooting on our cell phones with our friends, we would have been able to dish out a full-length feature movie, no problem. But when you're delivering this level of production value and quality, this is what we have to do. We have to take it. It's the reason why Never Hike in the Snow was 25 minutes long and not, 2 hours and 25 minutes long. I mean, it's because it takes a lot of money, time, and resources to deliver that level of production value that he dished out with no studio backing, completely crowdfunded, and let me tell you, things also come out of your pocket as well. There's certain things that you end up paying for on your own as well, right? So, I completely understand why people are like, that's it. I don't understand. But just understand that it was designed to be episodic. So our fingers are crossed that we'll be able to do the bookend story, But yeah, I mean, if this was a Netflix show, like a 2-part Netflix show, you would have already been on to the next episode. Like I said on Chris's show last week, you would have been like, next, skip intro and go. You know what I mean? But, unfortunately, we can't do that. If we want to deliver this level of quality, that it's all about that. You know what I mean? It's about the quality of the presentation in terms of its production value, its aesthetic, its story, its writing, its characters, its acting. And again, big shout out to our actors who knocked it out of the park. The nuanced, that was the word on set, but that was, very nuanced, and very real and genuine. Like that porch scene between Emma and Sam is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. It's their approach is so nuanced. They allowed I believe that they were thinking these words on their own, and that they were not written down prior. It was just so nuanced, so beautiful. I believe they were friends. They allowed the moment and the scene to breathe. They took the pauses, where they felt natural. They weren't rushing through their lines. They weren't just reciting lines. They were feeling and breathing the moment as if they were these characters. And it was like that through the whole film, Malika was fantastic. Like that scene between Malika and Sam in the car when they arrive and Malika is trying to, give Sam, a bit of a pep talk to, remind her that she's not alone and to remind her of what she told her about her own grandfather. I was going to say grandmother, but grandfather. And again, her performance Malika is so nuanced and believable. And, you know, these girls are talented, man. These girls are talented, you know. And then when Sam was breaking down in the attic and going there, like just losing it and going there, and she actually was crying. She actually was crying. We did that about, I think, 2 or 3 times. And before doing that, Victoria was off in the corner by herself, getting herself into that emotional state and getting into that mind frame of, you know, she needs to break down. She's seeing her dead best friend in a fucking rocking chair with blood all over in a body bag encased in Christmas tree lights. She's fucking losing it, you know, and after we said cut, when she stood up, she had tears just streaming down her face. So she was really crying. And she just brought it. And when we were shooting that, because there was like, you know, 10 people in the room when we were shooting that, right? We're all behind the camera and we're just like, our mouths are on the floor. You know, because you can't really see the tears that clearly in the film, but from where we were, oh yeah, they're there. And if you look at when she picks up the phone, you can see a little bit of shine kind of around her eye. It was just because she had just finished. She brought it, man. Victoria, I don't know how she does it, but she can cry on a dime, and she's so talented and so funny. And yeah, and what can I say about, you know, Caro, I mean, who played Mrs. Crane. Again, nuanced, has a lot of theater and stage experience going back decades before I was even born. And the way she was able to bring that nuanced theater sort of, you know, to the performance was so great. She was so diabolical. It was awesome. And of course, Brian is Billy and his performance as well. And this was Brian's first acting job in many years. He's just getting back into the game after quite a few years away from the camera and from the stage. So a big shout out to Brian as well, who just knocked it out of the park. I mean, his temper tantrum in that fucking attic is like, damn, man, like where the fuck, holy shit. Like, what's he fucking freaking over? Calm the fuck down. You know what I mean? So yeah, I can't get enough of the performances. They were so great. I just can't wait to work with all of them again. You know, I can't. I mean, it's when you find people you love working with and who are equally talented, you want to keep them close to the vest. You want to keep them close to the vest. If this was back in the studio days when actors actually signed contracts to specific studios, I don't know if, I mean, obviously there are some very film savvy people in the chat who would know this, but years and years ago, back in like, you know, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, back in the studio system days when the studios really ran things, it was, you were known as a studio player. And so like, for example, if this is, say it's like 1962 and I'm an actor, I would go and I would sign a contract with Warner Brothers. And that means I only do movies for Warner Brothers. And Warner Brothers had like talent divisions where they would like, you know, nurture talent and, you know, really sort of take them under their wing if they thought they were very talented and, you know, kind of guide them and all that. And I'm not saying it was all for the right reasons. Obviously there are, you know, if you go back way back in the day, obviously they did exploit a lot of people too. But, the point I'm making is that way back in the day, you would sign a contract with a specific studio and you only did movies that were produced by them. So if I was a studio, I'm telling you right now, I would be signing, and if this was 1962, I would be signing these these 5 actors actually, I would be signing them. I'd be like, okay, I want you, you're only going to do movies produced by me. Okay. That's it. Just awesome stuff. Let me see here. Rick Baker says, hi, Dave. Would love to hear about the creative discussion regarding Sam and how she reacted to the first phone call by Billy. Lots of ways to go with that. Great question, Rick. Okay, so what's very important to understand is that Sam has never experienced these phone calls before, right? Sam has heard the stories. But Sam has never experienced these phone calls herself. And it's important to remember that Jess also, in the years leading up to whenever she died, right? It wasn't unprecedented that that Jess would also get phone calls or harassed just by people harassing her. Not necessarily Billy, but by fake prank phone calls, if that makes any sense. I mean, a prank call is a fake call, but now we're going a bit meta, like fake prank phone calls, non-Billy calls. It was one of the reasons that drove her up north, right? And so Sam has heard the stories. Jess would always tell her about the stories about, the sorority house and these weird, creepy calls, which is what you hear Sam relaying to her friends at the dining room table, right? But the way she used to describe those calls, it's very eerie. And the way she sits back a little composed, clearly the mere mention of that is affecting Justine and Emma just a little bit more, right? Like Justine looks over at Emma kind of looks over at Justine like, okay. And Sam sits back just kind of composed. Sam is dealing with a lot. We know this. She's lost her mother. She's lost her grandmother. So we think she does have an internal strength inside. Some people have said, Sam seems kind of down through most of the movie. And it's like, yeah, she is because she's going through a lot. But then you begin to see little tidbits of her personality at the dining room at the dining room table, right? When she's talking about like, well, you can thank the microwave and all that kind of stuff. There's little bits of moments of her, of what might be perceived as her, natural kind of funky personality, but she's going through a lot. She's very emotional in this movie. But yeah, no, she hasn't heard these calls. So when she picks up that phone for the first time, there is a dichotomy that's happening in terms of how she's interpreting this. She is a little taken back, and you can kind of see that in her face as we're slowly zooming up on her. You can kind of see her, and then of course when you hear like a yell or a scream, she has a bit of a fidget right in her face. She's kind of like taken back by it a bit, but she's not quite sure what, like, this is her first time hearing this. Something like this. She doesn't know if it's one of those fake prank calls. Unbeknownst to her, obviously it's not. Or if it's Billy, right? Or if it's, she automatically assumes obviously that it's one of those fake prank calls because she's listening and she's moving her eyes around, and it's affecting her a little bit, I think, right? Because she's thinking about back to what her grandmother said. But then it gets to the point where she's like, okay, who is this? Listen, pal, your prank calls aren't going to scare me, pal. That's what I wanted to say. Because she has her heart set that this is just one of those fake calls, those, harassing prank fake calls, that her grandmother would have received. It's like in Halloween 4, that scene when Loomis and Meeker come out of the house and there's like 3 Michael Myers, right? And then they're like, don't shoot, we got you. Hey, there's a curfew, damn it, get home. Jess Bradford experienced that kind of thing, at least we alluded to that, for who knows how many years, right? So Sam, and of course she heard about those calls as well. So Sam's natural default is not that this has got to be the killer. Her natural default is, this is weird, this is kind of creepy, okay, but then she's kind of like, listen, your prank calls aren't going to scare me, pal, okay? Like she kind of gets into that mode, you know what I mean? And then of course, her friends come up to listen in. The 3 of them are listening in. Emma and Justine are a little kind of, this is creepy. Sam, you can kind of see her looking around. This is kind of weird. And then Justine takes the call because they're very protective of her, right? They know what she's been through. They know what she's gone through, and they're very protective of her. Justine takes the phone and says, okay, who the fuck is this? Blah, blah, blah. And then Sam takes the phone and slams it down and says, don't antagonize these assholes. It was just a stupid prank call. So I think for Sam, she believes that this is just a prank call. Like it's just another one of those harassing. Yeah, but how did they get this number, Sam? I don't know, but it was only a matter of time, right? So it's the next prank call when suddenly the phone is plugged back in and we get that great shot of Sam whipping her head around and she's like, what the fuck? Like I unplugged that shit, and she walks back in and then she picks up the phone and she's like, hello? You know what I mean? And then it changes, right? The look on her face and the tone and the feeling that she has in that moment is she begins to realize something's not right. Like this is not just, oh, we got you, hey, Meeker, there's something different here. And certainly because the phone is plugged back in. And then of course, she's like, who the hell is this? You know, like shit just got real. And then, of course, Sam, I found you. And the look on her face is just like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, oh shit, how do they know my name? What the fuck is going on? Is this what I think it could be? Holy fuck. So that was the approach with what we were going for. So when Sam is listening on that very first phone call, she's spooked. You can tell she's kind of spooked, right? She's kind of looking around. She flinches a little bit with some of the things, but she's not sure. She's not really sure because this is her first time hearing this. If this had been Jess on the phone hearing this, then Jess might have had more of an emotional reaction right away because Jess would have been able to pick up immediately. We would think, oh, wait a minute, this is Billy. This is not, you know, oh, we got you, you know, you know, who knows what she received, right? This is different, but this is not. This is Sam. You know, some people have also said too, why are they watching a horror movie? I mean, that would be very traumatizing for Sam. It's like, it's not traumatizing for Sam. Sam is not the one that has gone through the trauma. Sam's heard the stories. Sam's going through a lot in her life, but Sam never has experienced this before. Sam didn't experience it. She just heard it through her grandmother. So Sam could watch a horror movie, no problem. Do you know what I mean? So now that Sam is going through what she's going through, right? Her arc has begun, right? And hopefully we'll get to finish her arc in the next movie. Now what she's going through, I mean, you know, maybe watching a horror movie after everything she's been through might be a little strange, but not up to this point, not up to this point. Did that answer your question, Rick? Do you have any follow-ups with that? Hopefully I've been able to give you some insight into sort of what is going on there. But let me know, Rick, let me know. I appreciate the question very much. Super Soul Fried Disco sends in $5, says, spoiler. Oh, spoiler. Okay, spoiler. Was a decision made to follow the old horror trope to kill the black actor first, Justine, or did it just work out that way? Contrary to popular belief, Justine was not killed first. Justine was not killed first, ladies and gentlemen. Just because, pay close attention. Even our black actor, Malika Henny, loved that we did this. There are only 2 deaths in the movie, Emma and Justine. And we alluded to the fact that Emma was attacked first and likely killed first. We gave the on-screen death to Justine because we wanted, partly we wanted to utilize a black actor in a way that gave the movie emotional bottom and emotional weight. And if you know, we hope, it is our hope that people are not disturbed by the death scene because she's black. We hope that people are disturbed by the death scene because of the character development that we were able to do and to make you love this character and you are stunned and taken back by this character. We hope it would be just as disturbing if it was Emma in the bed. Do you know what I mean? And then, of course, at the end of the movie, seeing, you know, Sam crying over her friend, right? We wanted to, instead of just killing the black actor off screen, we wanted to give this moment to Malika. We wanted to give this moment to her and really have emotional bottom for this character. It was all intentional that way. And we're very proud of the work and she's very proud of it as well. And we had long talks about this. Malika was such a trooper and so professional. And, you know, she understood our creative reasoning and our creative decisions. And I think she even actually likes the idea that Emma is sort of killed off screen and there's that, oh, wait a minute, did the black doctor, you know, did she die first or whatever? And even she's been like, I don't think so. Got to go watch and pay attention. So no. Again, we are very cognitive of that. We are very aware of the stereotypes and the tropes. There is no doubt in our mind that some people may have missed that some people may have thought we are buying into that trope. If people want to message me or myself or Bruce and have a conversation about that, we are more than happy to actually explain to you what was really going on there. And instead of just sort of, you know, throwing the black character away in some on-screen or some off-screen death, we wanted this character to have emotional weight and bottom and have an effect on the audience. And then of course have her again appear at the end of the movie for our main lead to be crying over her friend that has died. And not just crying, not just like Hollywood cry, like full on lose it over this, you know? So we wanted Justine Maleka, her role and her character to have emotional weight and bottom to the rest of the movie. And, you know, it is important that with horror movies, there is that trope, but it's not really that. I mean, yes, do some black actors die first in a movie? Yes, that's true, they do. But it's not just that. The problem really at the end of the day is that a lot of black actors, not all the time, but there is this stereotype that they're not developed. They're not developed enough. So you don't care about them. You don't care if they die, right? And we wanted to do our best to avoid that. And Maleka and even Caro as well, the feedback they gave us on the script and how to improve that aspect and what to do and that kind of stuff. And then we brought our own ideas. It was a really collaborative effort to really sort of make you care, not just about Emma and Sam, but about Justine. You know, she's this quirky, fun kind of girl who has a real nice moment with Sam so she can show her serious side and how she really cares about Sam and she's protective of Sam. And it's like, no, Sam, they shouldn't be fucking with you like this, you know? And she takes the phone out of Sam's hand and you know, she's very protective of Sam. And so we were very aware of how that may be perceived, but there are reasons for it. It's not ignorance. It was very calculated and deliberate, and everybody was on board with the creative decisions that we made. So no, actually, Justine does not die first. Emma is attacked, and although we don't show her dying first, we made it very apparent that when the scene cuts to black and you hear her attacked and her going, I mean, you know, kind of put two and two together here, right? Anyways, hopefully that answers your question on that and sort of how we approach. And this is a nutshell. Myself and Bruce obviously could talk more in depth about this, but that's sort of the nutshell of the reason why we made the creative decision we did, is because we wanted to give more to the character of Justine, and having an on-screen death in a horror movie, you know, it's not that black actors die in horror movies. It's, do we care about them? You know, do we care? I think even if a black actor were to die first, which isn't the case here, but even if somebody was to die first, I would like to think that nobody would care as long as I really care about who it is. You know, they're well developed. The story really makes me, you know, sad at the loss of this character, you know, and hopefully we were able to do that because that was the goal rather than just some throwaway, you know, character. You know what I mean? Great question though, and I appreciate you asking it. I appreciate you asking it very much. Let's see here. Matthew Feresi says, sends in $4.99 and says, since this is a direct sequel to the original, did you envision Agnes as aiding Billy in the 74 film? Perhaps that's something you can't answer. I cannot answer that. Me not answering that is not me saying yes. It's just that I can't answer that right now. It's just, I can't answer that. Good question though. Sweet Tea, the tea is sweet today. Sweet Tea sends in $10. Thank you, Sweet Tea, and says, hi, Dave. Again, It's Me, Billy was a great movie. The picture was like a real movie quality. Was nice. Good job. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, we shot on the Arri Alexa Mini, of course, which is, you know, they've shot Avengers, Game of Thrones, 1917 Joker. I even think Halloween 18, maybe even Halloween Kills might have been shot on the area. I'm not sure. But no, but like I've always said, you can have the best piano in the world. And if you don't know how to play it, it's going to sound like shit. So certainly, yes, we were shooting on major motion picture cinematic cameras, which is why the dynamic range and the quality is there. But shout out to Greg Bennett, our DP, and of course our lighting team, you know, our gaffer, key grip. I mean, you know, they brought the picture to life. You know, you can still shoot on the area and if you don't frame it properly or if you don't light it properly, it's going to still look like crap. It's going to look like a really nice piece of crap, you know, but it's still not gonna, you know what I mean? So there's more than just, you know, just the camera, right? There's a whole team, a whole creative team behind that. So appreciate that though. That was the goal, right? We wanted to have the production value look really good, and I think we achieved that. Adrian Ocampo, am I saying that right? My idea for a prologue prequel is a new group of girls move into the sorority 3 years later after the incident of 1974, but this time there's a twist where one of the girls happens to be Agnes. Yeah, I guess that would happen earlier, I guess, maybe in the 80s or something like that. That's not a bad idea. Oh, and contrary to popular, I don't say popular belief, but contrary to what some people believe, the house in our movie is not supposed to be the same house from the original Black Christmas. Okay. It's not supposed to be the same house. We just wanted a house that was in that style, obviously for the, you know, the aesthetic, the look, the mood, the atmosphere. But that is supposed to be Jess Bradford's house that she moved to years later. Some people have asked, well, why would she move to a house? Why would she buy a house that looks so much like the original? Isn't she traumatized? Well, remember, she is, but she also became obsessed with it. She wrote a book about it. She did interviews, press tours. You know, it consumed her life. It was an area of contention between her and her daughter, not Sam's mom, her and her daughter. It was an area of contention, right? It became her life. You know, she kept the phone from the sorority house. So it is not out of the realm of possibility that, you know, Jess, maybe purchased this house even subconsciously. Maybe she didn't even, you know, she wasn't even aware of how much it looked like that, or she was, but subconsciously, you know, she was obsessed with it. Even when she didn't want to be, she was, you know what I mean? So, but no, it is not supposed to be the same house. So we didn't just, you know, secure a location in the same vein as the original house just to tip our hat or have it moody and atmospheric. It actually works into the story as well. It works into the story as well. And of course, these things obviously would, you know, come more to light and be more fleshed out if we had a chance to bookend the story. So. Jonathan Nichols says, amazing job, Dave and Bruce and crew. Can't wait for the Blu-ray. Yes. Yeah, that's the next thing on the list. Myself and Bruce will be getting together very soon, maybe even this week to start that process. I've actually already put in orders for t-shirts. So they will be shipped to me, and then of course I have to ship them to you. I always ship them to me first and I don't ship them directly from the supplier. And the reason for that is because I want to make sure that all the printing is good. I don't want to ship from the supplier and then you get a t-shirt and like, what happened there? Oh my, because sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes some shirts will print well, some won't. So I'm having them shipped to me and then to you because I want to first take a look at them and go, yep. That, because if it didn't print well, or if there's a t-shirt that's crap, then I can call the supplier and be like, hey, you owe me a t-shirt. Yes. It's coming, my man. Oliver Mercer sends in £5. Thank you, Oliver, and says, fantastic numbers to Billy. It's my 34th birthday today. Hey, happy 34th birthday, Oliver. Happy 34th birthday. I'm pumped for the possible Billy sequel. Yes, no official announcement yet. We will make an official announcement, and if we do, we'll probably find a creative way to do it. But yes, there is no official announcement yet. And obviously some people have asked, will Olivia Hussey be in the sequel? I don't know. You know, I mean, obviously securing Olivia Hussey for a unofficial sequel to the sequel that is the unofficial sequel to the original. Obviously, I don't know. You know, there's a lot of logistics that surround that, so I don't know. Obviously, that's the dream. That's the goal. That would be amazing. But, you know, Olivia Hussey is, you know, she's 70 years old now. She's not acting a lot anymore, I don't think. She's very active on social media, which is really cool. If you're not following her, what are you doing? Follow her. But I mean, that would be amazing. That's the dream, right? That's the goal. However, if for whatever reason we are unable to secure Olivia Hussey, but we are able to and are interested in completing this story, we will recast her. That's not what we want to do, but you know, story comes first, and we will recast her. And we will give the same amount of attention to detail in casting her replacement as we did in casting everybody else, including Victoria Miro as Sam. you know, it's not by accident. I mean, yeah, she's extraordinarily talented and she knocked us out of the park in her audition, but it wasn't an accident that we chose her to audition because of how much she resembles a young Olivia Hussey, or that you could totally believe that she is the granddaughter or, you know, the offspring of that character. So we will give the same amount of attention to detail in casting Jess Bradford as well, and in hopes that it's somebody who, you know, is extraordinarily talented, but also you look at and go, oh yeah, I could totally see this being her 50 years later, or so to speak. So, but that's the goal, man. That's the dream. That's the dream. We shall see. Still too early to talk about that stuff at the moment. Let's see. Did I miss any? I don't believe I did. Oh yeah, it's not showing. Oh, wait. I don't think I did. Oh, Neil Rook sends in £5. Thank you, Neil. Says, hello, my mate. Who directed the scene where Justine is murdered, and whose idea was it to make it so violent? Great question. So, both of us. I mean, you know, it all comes down to the writing. So when you go back to the writing and you're talking about Justine's death, again, going back to talking about how we utilized our black actor in this movie, because there are only 2 deaths in the movie and one is off screen, we wanted to give this moment to Malika. But we also wanted to make sure that it was done classy. We could have made it gory and seeing, you know, the letter opener impaling the skin and, you know, all the, but we didn't want to do that. We wouldn't have done that if it was Emma there as well, or if it was Sam that was being killed or whatever. It was a deliberate creative choice to play into the theater of the mind, to be more Hitchcockian than, Rob Zombian, and to really honor the old school style of filmmaking. However, to be more suggestive than to show. There are a lot of people that find that scene very disturbing, and good, because you should. And the reason for that is because that's what we were going for. And it's such a compliment to us as filmmakers because you see nothing. It's all through sound design and the power of suggestion. And because we hope you really love and care about Justine. You don't want her to die. I've said this before and I'll say it again. On the eve before we were going to kill her character, I walked into the dining room where the 3 ladies were sitting. I think they were either eating or playing cards or something. It was during a break, and I walked in and I sat down and I said, Malika, I actually feel really sad that we have to kill your character tomorrow. And everyone was like, oh my God. I said, yes, because, you know, I'm so attached to these characters, and I believe so much that they're really all friends, that it kind of sucks that I have to kill you. But that's a good problem to have, because 9 times out of 10, nobody gives a fuck about people that die in horror movies. Nobody cares. And that's one of a big complaint. They're underdeveloped. I don't care, right? We wanted you to care as best as we could get you to care in the 42-minute runtime. Right? There's only so much time we have, and we think we did a really good job at introducing you to these characters. The characters seemed real, not, you know, archetypal characters like, oh, she's the slut, she's the bimbo, he's the jock, we didn't want that. We wanted these characters to feel real, right? To feel like you really could relate to them, that you care about them, that there's somebody you know. And so when it came time to Justine's death scene, we knew that if we developed this character to the point where we care about her and we don't want her to die, and we see how protective she is of Sam and her friends and all that kind of stuff, that you would care about her death. And that it's what makes Justine's, we believe as filmmakers, what makes Justine's death so traumatizing, potentially for a viewer, is not what's happening. It's that you care about her. At least you should. And you don't want her to die. Do you know what I mean? And again, we hope that it doesn't matter what color of skin the actor has. We would hope that if it was Emma lying there, you would be just as mortified. Do you know what I mean? And that's all because of character development, and that you care about this individual. And all you're seeing is just behind, and Billy, you know, laughing and going, and it's like, oh my God. That's the power of suggestion. That's theater of the mind. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. You know what I mean? And that 9 times out of 10 can be far more effective than seeing blood splatter and things penetrating skin. It's done Hitchcockian and classy. It's done classy. It wasn't because of budgetary reasons. It was not because I wish so much we could have just like impaled her skin and had Billy chop off her head and walk down the hall with her head. No. It had nothing to do with, it was a conscious, creative choice that we made to pay homage to the lost art of theater of the mind and the power of suggestion. And that's what it was all about. And Malika was pumped, man. She was like this. She's pumped. You know what I mean? She was pumped. She at the end of the shoot, we asked the actors if they wanted to take anything home from the set, and Malika took the unicorn letter opener. It was a unicorn letter opener that was the murder weapon, and she took that home as, I guess, kind of like a trophy. Do you know what I mean? So we're very proud of it. We hope everybody else is very proud of it. And we feel that it was disturbing. But it was disturbing not because of what you're seeing or hearing necessarily, but also because you don't want her to die. You know, you love this girl, man. She's one of her best friends and she's going. Damn it. You know what I mean? I tell you, it sucked. But we both directed it. Bruce was actually in the room when it was happening. And I was down the hall in a bathroom looking at a monitor with with Shelby and Victoria. And I think Brian might have been in there as well. And we were watching on the monitor. And as soon as, it was awesome. It was like, yes, this is how you do it. This is theater of the mind. This is the power of suggestion. This is how you make things disturbing without showing anything. It's easy to show something. Anybody can just show something. And that has its place too. But it takes far more diligence and creativity to build the character up to a point where you actually are shocked at their death and you don't even see it. So I know I'm a little, but we're very proud of that. We're very, very proud of that. Very proud of that. Hopefully that answered your question, Neil. At least I hope so. Schnip sends in $4.99. I love that name, Schnip. Congratulations on the film, Dave. Hope you don't mind that I'm waiting for Christmas season to watch it. Proudy buddy. No, you can do whatever you want, man. Although just know that we've spoiled the hell out of the film here today, and there's spoilers all over online. So be mindful of that, though. Schnip follows up with $4.99. Says not listening to spoilers, by the way. Oh, just dropping to show support. Fair enough. Appreciate it, my man. Appreciate it. Some people have watched Black Christmas and then It's Me, Billy back to back and feel that it's actually quite a good combo pack, which is cool. David Coe sends in $4.99, says a couple of weeks ago I made a comment about a lazy forced exposition that annoys me. I really appreciate that the exposition in It's Me, Billy seemed realistic. Yeah, exposition is one of those things, folks, where how you do film is a visual medium. So whenever you have the opportunity to show and not tell, you always do that. At least, you try to do that as best you can. If It's Me, Billy had a $5 million budget and this was a major feature, we probably would have shown you some of the things that maybe we were telling you through Sam's emotional state. However, if you are going to tell, quote unquote, and not show for whatever reason, be very mindful that you are doing it, that it makes sense because of character motivation. Ask yourself, why would these characters be having this conversation? Does it feel like I'm just doing this to dump exposition? And one of the characters could turn to the camera and go, oh, in case you didn't know. You don't want to do it for that. It always has to be driven by character motivation. Why are these characters having this conversation? Always have your characters doing something as well. They're sitting down at a diner. They're sitting at a table. They're eating while they're having a conversation. They're on a porch drinking hot cocoa or hot chocolate. You know what I'm saying? Don't just have them standing in the middle of a fucking room just having a conversation for no reason. But the most important thing is that it must be driven by character motivation. Why is Sam having this conversation with Emma on the porch? Why would she have excused herself to the porch by herself?
Well, think about the emotional state that she's in. She's lost her mother. She's lost her grandmother, right? She's going through a lot right now. She's thinking a lot. When you lose somebody, you tend to reflect on your life, and she says point blank, I need to start taking care of myself, Emma. I don't want to end up like her. She's talking about the stress that she's feeling, the stress that her mother felt, living in the shadow of her grandmother drove her mother to alcoholism and Lord knows what else, and eventually her death. And Sam is feeling all this stress right now, and she doesn't want to end up like her mother, right? And then Emma's like, you're not like her, you're like your grandma, you're strong, and all that kind of stuff. And then you learn tidbits of information about the gap between the three generations of women and what was happening between 1974 and 2021. You learn a little bit about, that gap, but it's through the emotional performances of the characters. It makes sense why they would be having this conversation. I believe that they are having this conversation because Sam really is reflecting on these moments. She's thinking about this. She's upset. She's feeling down. Her friend comes out to, kind of, hey, what's going on? Things are okay. I believe this. I believe this. It doesn't feel like an exposition dump, a turn to the camera and hey, in case you didn't know. And Bruce and I worked very hard on that. There's 3 exposition scenes in this movie that again, we needed to bring our audience up to speed, but how do we do it without it feeling like that's what we're doing? And that is a fine line to walk. Not everybody can do it, but my advice to filmmakers out there, always ask yourself, why are these characters having this conversation? Do I believe it is motivated by whatever emotion the character or characters are feeling at that moment? And always have your characters doing something, not just standing in a blank room talking. They're eating, they're leaning, they're having cocoa, they're walking through a park together. Whatever it is, there's a number of factors that has to play into where it feels organic. It doesn't feel, as telly. There's an awful exposition scene in the Black Christmas 2019 film where where they're in the car towards the end of the movie, and I forget her name now. The main lead in the film basically is reciting everything that's happened in the movie. You know what I mean? And it feels like just an exposition dump. I don't know why you would be telling them this when they were there. They experienced it. They know it. It doesn't quite make sense. Anyway, go watch that. You'll see what I mean. But I appreciate the compliment. We worked very hard on that because we knew that we were going to have some exposition heavy scenes, but our goal was how do we make this not feel telly? It's driven through character motivation. Super Soul Fried Disco sends in $10, says Rob Zombian, worth $10. Thanks very much, man. I appreciate that. Mace Machine Horror Show sends in $5. Thank you. Says, my main question was Jess, her grandma, still alive at the end and working with Billy. Well, no, I don't think Jess would have been working with Billy. A lot of people have said, I don't get it. How could she be alive? Wasn't there a funeral? Well, folks, there's many, I can't tell you, but there's many options there. We know what that is, but that's the whole point. The whole point of that ending is to make you go, what? And like I said, if this was a studio-backed project, you would have already been on to the next episode. You know what I mean? So don't worry. It is not as, it was not done that way for shock value. There are very specific reasons why we chose to do that. Matthew Arnold sends in $4.99. Thank you, Matthew. Says, Dave, I so want a copy of the Blu-ray when they are produced, if only for the BTS footage. I'm so bummed I didn't receive one during your campaign. Yes, well, again, Bruce and I will have more information on that in the very near future. For those of you that want a Blu-ray, maybe we're unable to get one. We just have to start the process and figure out and start allocating the money and getting things ordered and figure out sort of how much this is going to be. Because obviously with more Blu-rays costs more money. And does that mean we do another campaign? Does it mean we set up sort of a tip jar where people can, throw in, the cost and, who knows? We don't know yet. We have to figure all that out. We really appreciate your patience. This is a process. We are not a big studio. We are doing this ourselves. Everything you see is ourselves. So we really appreciate your process. appreciate your patience during this process, but do not worry. We will let everybody know once we know kind of how that's going on and what's happening there. Appreciate that very much. Aaron Click says, when Sam gets deep into the story of her grandma's trauma, Emma and Justine stop eating. Nice touch. Yep. It's like they're drawn in. Of course, though, my fat butt would continue eating. That's right. Yeah, very good. There's a lot of things in here that if you watch the movie again, again, we spent 2 years on this, 15 drafts of the script. Are we back? Are we back? Hang on. Did we conk out there? Did we conk out? Are we back? Are we back? Yes, I think we're okay. It just looks like the software is starting to conk out a little bit. So I will wrap this up. I think we're still on, but it looks like the software is starting. Yeah, it's starting to conk out a little bit. So you know what, folks? I'm going to wrap this up now. And it's perfect timing anyway. I just don't want the stream to conk out unnecessarily. But you're right. You are right, Aaron. You are right. There's a lot of nuances and a lot of details in this movie that you may have missed on the first or second watch. Watch again. Nothing was by accident. Everything was deliberate. Also watch my 2 videos on my channel, Things You Missed, Things Explained. Chris Baber sends in $3.99, says, great show, everyone. Thank you so much, Chris. Anthony Stanfield sends in $2, says, best fan film I've ever seen. Great work. Thank you, Anthony. Really appreciate that. I was hoping to get to non-It's Me, Billy questions today, but unfortunately that didn't happen because it's understandable. This is the first time you're getting to me one-on-one since the movie dropped. I get it. I totally understand it. But I appreciate all the super chats that came in today. I appreciate the questions that came in and the support for the film. You guys are amazing. And, again, it's not without its criticism. There are some people that didn't like the creative decisions we made. But by and large, the good news is that most people enjoy it, like it, love it, think it's amazing. And yeah, all I can say to those who are confused by the ending or didn't like the ending, it's not over. At least we hope. We hope it's not over. Share it, folks. Talk to your friends about it. Share the movie. Let's get that movie out there and seen by more people. We're very proud of it and we want it seen. So we really appreciate you sharing it around to your friends and family or the Black Christmas fan in your life. The Black Christmas fan in your life. Again, my apologies for not getting into any other questions, but I'm very thorough and there were a lot of Billy questions. But don't worry, there will be time in the next show. Really appreciate. Thank you to my amazing moderators, Frank Riker, Tabitha Short, Darren Sands, and Chris Baber for doing what you guys do. Do not forget to also check out Darren Sands and Frank Riker's The Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast on YouTube and also wherever podcasts are downloaded. I'm going to be appearing on their podcast this Sunday, actually. And I think then it'll wind up online sometime next week. So that'll be fun. And thank you to the super chat questions that came in, the non-super chat ones, the few that I was able to answer there. I really appreciate that. You guys are amazing. You know that. And have a great rest of your Tuesday. And I will talk to you guys soon. Alrighty. Cheers.